Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well. How's everyone doing? What's new? How's life? What's been going on? What are you buying? What are you investing in? What are you trying to make money from? There seems to be a lot of money-making opportunities at the moment. Thank you all once again for leaving a like on the video. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. Yeah, and without any further ado, let's jump right into it. We are nearing something interesting, question mark? Not really sure. The accumulation levels of the cryptocurrency market continue to reach staggering levels. We recently were chatting about this, and we also had a little talk because I've noticed a lot of times if the news isn't number go up, a lot of people get annoyed and frustrated without realizing that you're actually getting really significant information about the cryptocurrency market and how things are actually taking shape. We continue to receive news from a large amount of companies who are basically announcing in some sort of form or fashion that they're trying to get away from other investments. They're trying to get away from fiat currencies, not just the US dollar, which is also a big de-dollarization conversation that's also happening, but fiat currencies in general. And they're choosing to get crypto instead. The significance, once again, being they're not choosing to buy gold or land or property or air rights or other companies. They're choosing to invest hundreds of millions of billions of dollars into crypto instead. That should let you know quite clearly the way that this trend of investment is currently moving. For whatever the reason, we are constantly, we know the reason. We're getting a lot of Japanese news. If you haven't been here for the last 2 years, the Japanese yen is collapsing. Like, it's not just simply doing bad. No. It's actually doing incredibly bad because of very prolonged economic policies. The Bank of Japan has tried to make sure, and I'll be more honest with you. A lot of the world, if not very large investors, used Japan and the Japanese yen for a very long time as basically free money. And you say free money. So you know how, let's say you're trying to get a mortgage somewhere and the interest rate is 5%. You have to pay back 5% of the loan that you got to the bank. Got it. Japan, for a long time, had a 0% interest rate. So if you took the million, you had a 0% interest rate that had to be paid back on top of that. So a number of governments and institutions and corporations and every other letter in the book basically had been using Japan for a very long time as basically a 0 interest rate kind of loan place. And that's why when you saw, I think it was last year, I'm pretty sure it was last year, when they rose their interest rate by 0.25%, their stock market fell and everything else around the world. And we were like, it's only 0.25%. No. So since then, they've been trying to appease people who were using their money before, and also trying to keep their economy from collapsing at the exact same time. So their currency is, I think it's fallen 15-20%. I think just this year, and it's been doing that for a number of years already. And that's what's currently happening with the US dollar as well. So we keep hearing from Japanese companies. It was I think 2 before. It was Meta Planet, and there was a a couch company or something. And I was making fun of back then. We keep hearing because MetaPlanet is a hotel chain. And I was like, where are all these, wacky companies coming from? This one does feet. This one does hair. I guess you have to have a business of something. Japanese nail salon. Yes. Japanese nail salon operator Convano. Okay. Has officially launched its Bitcoin acquisition strategy following its ambitious plan. So apparently they're trying to raise $3 billion US. Many of the companies that we've been hearing no longer announce $5 million, $17 million, $21 million. Nope, it's always in the billions or hundreds of millions of dollars. They're trying to raise $3 billion because, you guessed it, they want to purchase a significant amount of Bitcoin. They want 21,000 BTC. Yeah, so a lot of companies have foregone the idea of having 100 Bitcoin or 1,000 Bitcoin. I mentioned before, I don't know how they're all going to do this because they all have the same goals and aspirations. They all want 210,000 or 21,000. They all want like a literal 1% of the entire Bitcoin that there could ever be. This is equivalent to 0.1% of the entire total supply of Bitcoin that there would or could ever actually be. In response, Tayo Azuma, director of Convano's Bitcoin holding strategy office, outlined a 3-phase Bitcoin acquisition plan with a target of 2,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year. If Bitcoin's price keeps going up, these companies won't be able to actually acquire how much Bitcoin that they want. Imagine we actually do see Bitcoin go to $500,000 this year. Question mark, what happens as all these analysts have been talking about, or what if we do get to $1 million Bitcoin by the middle of next year? Well, you're going to have $30 billion to be able to do that. So I find it funny that these companies personally keep announcing their acquisition goals, and then they kind of go, well, we're going to wait a while. And it's like, you can't wait forever. The portfolio is expected, good luck, to reach 10,000 Bitcoin by August of 2026. As Azuma stated, and I quote, "Our goal is clear. By March 2027, we aim to acquire 21,000 Bitcoin and become one of the world's leading Bitcoin holding companies," end quote. If you remember some of the wackiness that we heard about in the recent times, a number of companies and analytical data, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, on-chain movement companies basically said that they're expecting by 2028 for Ethereum to be at $25,000 per coin. That would indicate a continuous movement up in price. We've also heard by 2028 that we would have a minimum of $500,000 Bitcoin. So the situation's going to get interesting either way, as we see all these companies, I was going to say struggling and striving, not even close, attempting to try and acquire huge amounts of Bitcoin, and they're no longer the only one in the pool. Convano frames its Bitcoin pivot as a strategic response to macroeconomic challenges, a prolonged decline in the Japanese yen. It's approximately 21% weaker against the dollar over the past decade, has increased costs for wages and raw material in its consumer services business. If you get a chance to start looking into and I need to make sure that you understand This is not just the Japanese yen. A lot of times news will be framed as like, oh boy, look at that one country. Look at their currency. No, this is across the board. The world reserve currency, the US dollar, has fallen about 18% of its value has fallen this year. Look it up. This year. The US dollar is expected to all but collapse next year. That's not to make you scared, or if you're in crypto, that's kind of been the idea. You have to have the person running in first position fall behind for whoever's in second place to become first. The mantra has always been Bitcoin succeeds if the US dollar fails. We're seeing the US dollar failing. And this is why we're seeing all this money moving into Bitcoin. It's literally the idea. I said it so many times before. And I saw people in the comment section being like, you're wrong, you have no idea. And I'm like, you're here to make $1 million from crypto, but you don't understand what it entails. Bitcoin doesn't go to $1 million because people like the sound Bitcoin, BTC, and then you look at the price going up. No, something else has to crumble for Bitcoin. For a $14 million Bitcoin, no one's using the US dollar anymore. The old world that we knew is gone. People are being paid in Satoshis. They're being paid in sats. That's what this is. Remember the conversations last year or the year before? People in crypto are so ridiculous. People in crypto were like, so happy for BRICS, BRICS, the consortium of countries who are doing terribly economically, trying to join forces to create their own currency. And people thought that would be the harbinger for Bitcoin to do good. No. Fiat currencies have to decline and disappear for Bitcoin to succeed. People thought that BRICS taking over would mean the end of the US dollar and that these people would join hands, kumbaya, float into space, and then Bitcoin would go to $1 million. No, my friend, when I keep telling you to do research and look up things, when I tell you to listen to conversations and meetings and these conferences that the original Bitcoin maximalists had, this is what it was. They said fiat currencies would begin to disappear. They would decline, and people collectively would go, we need an alternative. The alternative would then or will be Bitcoin. So I understand. That's why I said, like, it is a scary process to go through all of this. And a lot of people who get in crypto, it's a get rich quick scheme for them because you don't understand what's happening. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP aren't here for you to become, wealthy and go, yeah, and then swap back into US dollars and ride on a boat off into the sunset. These are here as replacements for the old system. Do you understand? If we get a $900 XRP, a $213,000 Ether, if Bitcoin goes to $1.8 million, it means that $20, $30, $40 trillion has left the old system. You know what happens when you leave an old system, when you leave an old factory behind? No one uses it. It goes into disrepair. It collapses and falls apart. It gets broken down for pieces and parts and aluminum and metal. That's what this is. That's why we talk about crypto as like a long-term hold. This isn't for you to get in and go, yeah, I made $18. Why do you think these companies are announcing we're trying to get 0.1% of all the Bitcoin that there would ever be? We want 210,000 Bitcoin. You think they're doing this for fun? They're doing this because they see the old system is falling apart quickly. When we talk about deficit, when we talk about debt, when we talk about there being trillions of dollars worth of consumer debt and credit card debt, student loan debt, country debt, None of that will be repaid. Debt levels will continue to go up and they will destroy the economy. This is the alternative. Are you understanding? Are you paying attention to what's going on now? This isn't something for you to make some money and go, yeah, I did it. It's meant for you in the year 2040 to look at your account, and it's not a bank account. It's your crypto account for you to see that you have 0.18 Bitcoin and you are wealthy. Everyone is going to be using crypto. Why do you think there's what do you think all this backing is? You know that time continues, right? Do you remember us talking about that before? If you see all of these people buying up all this crypto, why do you think the ETFs, we're making sure to get 1 million Bitcoin? You think next year they're going to go, okay, experiment over. They want all of it. Why do they want all of it? Why is the CEO of BlackRock and NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange? You can find these articles. Why are they talking about that the US dollar is done for? Why have they all said if the US dollar continues in this way, Bitcoin is going to take over? You think they like hearing themselves speak into a microphone? Well, they probably do. Some people actually do. No. Okay. He said, we started to think about Bitcoin because of persistent yen depreciation and other economic risks. Bitcoin is a long-term store of value, Azuma told Bloomberg. Yeah. So I think a lot of times you have to make sure to really pay attention. And I know that a lot of people don't, and I know that some of you do. But I've seen the comments. I've seen people telling me, don't worry, TMI, I'm paying attention. This discussion isn't aimed at you because I know that your brain is moving and clicking and working, click. It's moving forward. You're understanding what's happening. So many people, the reason why so many people fail in crypto and fail in investing is because people get into a market and they don't understand it. They get into the market, they see prices dip, and they go, well, people told me I would become rich. You don't understand what you need to do to become rich, to have long-term wealth. You know what generational wealth entails? Like, really, do you know what it means? It means not buying frivolous things. It means buying investments and holding on to them as they appreciate and then buying more investments so that you have stuff to hand down to the next generation. People think it's really weird. I saw there was some YouTuber. This was a couple of weeks ago. I hovered over the video and this guy was talking about building generational wealth and he had no idea what it actually meant. His idea of generational wealth was just getting rich quick. And he was showing these these clips of him on a boat, beautiful woman. This is happening. So and so the chef's making him food and it's like, you're doing what new money does. You're spending all of it. You're showing off. You're making sure that people know that you're rich. Have you heard of silent wealth? What's that other thing? That clothing thing that was happening, like a stealth wealth. Yes. This idea of rich people don't brag. They don't need to because they're rich. They know that they've made it. You do it silently. You make sure that you raise all this money behind the scenes. Don't tell people what you're doing, how much money you have, what you plan on. No, you do it silently. You make sure that you teach the next generation, in your family. This is how you make money. There was an Instagram video and I saw it and people were like, why are they doing this? This is maybe from 2 or 3 years ago. One of my friends posted it and I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, someone who understands. It was a video. So one of the family members, they were recording silently in the back. I think no one else knew that it was happening. But this family, every month they had a meeting. I mean, it was all of them. It was the grandparents, it was the parents, it was the aunts, the uncles, and all the kids. They were in a room. It was 20, 30 of them sitting in chairs. And they spoke about what happened to their investments, how their investments had moved, what had happened to the stock market, what new economic policies were going on. And then at the end of the meeting, they were like, okay, so where do we allocate this month's money to? Everyone in the family was pushing money into different investments and getting the entire family richer. They were all part of it. It wasn't just one person. Like, this is how it has to be done. This is how generational wealth is created, because when these kids get older, they understand I'm not buying that. I'm not doing that. No, I have to put money into the so-and-so that the rest of my family, we can continue this legacy. New kids are born. You teach them as well. How do you think some of these families have had money for generations? It's not by going, okay, I'm going to buy a boat, and I'm going to buy some Jordans, and I'm going to buy some. No. So when you see all this crypto accumulation, it should make your brain think. If we know that the last piece of fragment of Bitcoin is going to be mined in 115 years, why do you think these companies are preparing now? They're solidifying wealth in a new form for at least the next 115 years. And also, you also buy other assets. You accumulate other things. Do research, learn more, learn how the rich function, how they make money, how they remain rich. I told you that. For those of you who don't know, I mean, this is years ago. I couldn't figure it out. This must have been 2006 or 7. It was a long time. I remember I was so frustrated because things with money in life, and I was like, how are these people so rich? How are they making so much money? And I Googled the words, how do the rich stay rich? And I was like, what? I was like, you just buy assets and hold on to them. And I kept on reading articles, and it was like, you put money into a property. That property makes you money. You use that money to buy another property. You keep buying things that, cash creating assets. You buy stocks. They have dividends. You buy from long-standing companies, not from brand new companies. Companies who've been around for 100 years, who make household products that everyone on the planet uses. You keep buying more of those, and the dividend that you get, you swap that back into more stocks, and you continue this over and over, and then eventually you have a gigantic portfolio. You use some of that money to buy property and cash, and you keep it rolling. It's really, like, it's not difficult. I'm sure you've seen those videos before, like, getting rich isn't difficult. People go, okay, sure, whatever. It's because your mindset isn't there. You think it's a joke because rich to you means somebody wearing a gold chain or having 16 beautiful models with them in a club as they're holding up bottles with like sparks coming out of it. That's not rich. That's people showing off. That's them actively losing money in real time. You are literally seeing their wealth decline. Yes, as I've been saying at the end of many of my videos recently, don't forget how early you are in this market. Don't forget the chance that you've been given. You are currently more knowledgeable and ahead of 8 billion people on the planet who are not in this market. Take advantage of it. Make sure that you become rich, that you create generational wealth. Teach yourself about money. I know it can be frustrating, but try to teach your family about it. Get them in on it. Yeah. It's going to do it for this video, guys. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, a wonderful afternoon, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thanking every single one of you once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.